Hey guys, Kenan here, and in this video I will be covering part 2 of my Sarah Advanced tutorial. Let's get started. This tutorial will cover the cases you probably know as peanut. So they look like this, or also sometimes like this, if the U center is on top. So yeah, without further ado, I will get into those. So to start off with, the first and simplest of all category 2 peanut cases is this one. So it has two opposite centers. There are more cases like this. For example, if I go like this, so you are going to have to learn to do Sarah Intermediate from multiple angles. But yeah, these cases can be recognized by when you have a category 2 peanut case with two opposite centers. That automatically tells you that it can be solved in two sledges every single time. So in this case, you just always hold them in the back and then do Sarah Intermediate, and it will skip. So let me set up another one. Here's one. So instead of holding these in the front, see how they're kind of in the front if you were going to do Sarah Intermediate. Instead I'm going to hold them in the back and do Sarah Intermediate this way, and it'll skip. So that's pretty much all there is to those. The only tricky part about them is learning which way to do, like if you were holding it from this angle, if you had to do hedge or sledge from here, that can take some getting used to. But it shouldn't be too bad, and you should catch on to it. The next cases I'm going to be covering are the following. So they look like this. As you can see, there's one opposite center, and no more. So when you have just this one opposite center, you can do this one of two ways. The first is to do a U-perm with the U center on front. I don't do it that way. I find it easier to just hold the opposite center in back and do normal Sarah Intermediate. And then you'll force a U-perm, which is the same as what you do with the standard one. It's 4 sledges, and in my opinion it's faster because of the fact that, let me set this up, because of the fact that you can just automatically recognize 4 opposite centers in a solve. So if I see this opposite center, I know to just automatically put it in the back and go, and then I see later on if I'm going to skip or not. So that's personally how I choose to do it. So once again, if you have an opposite center, only one, not two. If you have one opposite center, just hold it in the back and do Sarah Intermediate. So really for any that have opposite centers, like for either these cases or the one opposite center ones, you just hold the opposite center or centers in back, do Sarah Intermediate, and do whatever comes up. Next are these cases. These cases have two solved centers, so they're quite easy. All you have to know is that these solved centers go in back, so then you just do Sarah Intermediate, and you force the H-perm skip case, which I taught in my first video. So I hold these in back and do Sarah Intermediate, and instead of just doing that and forcing the H-perm, I know that because it's one of these, I will force the H-perm skip, so I'm just going to do it like that. So another example would be this one. So two opposite centers, hold them in the back, or two solved centers, hold them in the back, and then H-perm skip force. Next, these cases are where you have one solved center, only one. So you have one solved center and Z-perm, pseudo Z-perm thing here. So how you're going to do this is hold the, this is kind of hard to explain, but you're going to hold the U center in back, and then the way you would normally do Sarah Intermediate, so from here I would normally do a sledge. Wait, what? Oh. Just kidding. Yeah. So if I were holding it from this angle, just imagine that my U center were here. So if my U center were here, I would do a sledge from this angle. But instead, since I know doing a sledge will give me a pie case, instead what I want to do is do a hedge. And that will give me one of the easy two opposite center cases that you learned earlier on. So once again, because that's, oh, brilliant. Okay, I'm back. So I have reassembled my Scube, and let me figure out where I was. I was talking about these cases. Okay. So if I were to do Serra intermediate from this angle, I would start with a hedge. Yeah. So I would start with a hedge if I were doing this. If it were this angle, U center were here. So basically, I want to force a peanut case again instead of forcing pi, because that's bad. I don't want pi. I want peanut. So I'm going to do that and then get a 2-sledge advanced case that I had earlier. And really, to be honest, I don't use these in solves. In all honesty, I don't find them worth the recognition. So instead, what I just do is I make sure that I hold the opposite center, or opposite. I make sure I hold the solved center in back, do Serra intermediate, and I get a U-turn from a pretty nice angle. So that's the way I do it personally. I just feel that it's not worth the recognition and thinking about whether I have to do a hedge or sledge from that angle. So yeah, that's how I do those. Alright, for these cases, as you can see, you recognize them because you have one solved center, so the same way as the last one that I showed, and you have a triple sledge center permutation thing going on here, so these two are swapped and these two are swapped. So essentially what you do here is you are going to force this into pure pi. So the way you do this is really, you imagine if you were holding it at this angle for Serra intermediate, would you do a hedge or a sledge? So in this case, the corner goes counterclockwise, so I would do a hedge, and then that gives me pure pi. I'll set up another one, so yeah, here's one. So in this case, it goes clockwise, I would do a sledge, and once again, that will force pure pi. If you do this wrong, you'll get pure peanut, and pure peanut is bad. So yeah, that's those. They're pretty easy and pretty fast. Alright, the next type of category 2s that you can get are where you have two opposite centers solved. So as you can see, these are both solved here. So there's two ways you can do this. So really, in my opinion, it's just better to do Serra intermediate into a U-perm, and the U-perm does cancel if you know how to do that. So yeah, that's what I do. Alright, the final case is when you have absolutely no opposite centers. So you can see here that this is adjacent, adjacent, U center. So I have no opposite or solved centers here. So when you get a case like this, really it's pretty great. You just do Serra intermediate and you get a U-perm from a pretty decent angle. So that's all you do for those. It's quite easy. Alright, so that covers the category 2 peanut cases. So now I'm going to go over the category 3 peanut cases. These are the ones that most of you who, if you use Serra intermediate, I guarantee you hate these. They look like this, and if you use Serra intermediate, they are indeed terrible. So I'm going to show you how to make them not so terrible, and I actually like them a lot. They take 3 sledges, mostly, except for some of them. So, yeah, if you don't know, they look like this, and now I'm going to teach you how to do them. So, it starts off with a case like this. So set one up, and basically the ones that can be solved in 3 sledges, they are peanut, and a U-perm. So you have one solved center. So what you're always going to do is hold the adjacent center in front. So in this case, green is not opposite of orange, so I'm going to hold that in front instead of going like this. So what you have to learn to do is think of these corners as right and left. So even if I'm here, this is still left, this is still right. Even though they look like right and left respectively, this is still left. So when you get the left corner in the front, you are always going to do a sledge. If you get the right corner in front, you are always going to do a hedge, but that's not the case here. So I'm going to do a sledge, and then I have a category 2 advanced that I taught you earlier. So another tip is that you're always going to rotate towards this solved center. So rotate, rotate. Another example is this case. So As you can see, this is the right corner in front, so I'm going to start with a hedge, and then my solved center was on the left, so I'm going to rotate to the left, and then do another hedge, and then sledge. So that's how those cases work. This is the next type of category 3 peanut case that you can get. It looks like this. It is pure peanut with an H-perm. As you can see, this is opposite, this is opposite, opposite, and opposite. So for this, instead of just doing intermediate, I use an alg for this. So it goes like this. I hold it from this angle and go B, L, R prime, B, U prime, R, and then it's U prime, B, U, but I just rotate and perform it as inserting this corner. So again, that's B, L, R prime, B, U prime, R, U prime, B, U. So B, L, R prime, B, U prime, R, U prime, B, U. For this case, I have two ways of solving it. It kind of depends on the mood I'm in, honestly, but I'm finding the most consistent is to just do it with sledgehammers. So for me, I usually hold it this way and do so with this left corner in front, and I do double sledge, Y prime, double sledge, or if you prefer hedge, you can do it from this angle and go double hedge, Y, yeah, that's Y, double hedge. The algorithm I have for it is, in my opinion, not faster than that because it locks up a lot for me. But if you'd like it, here, I'll try. So it's R prime, U prime, R, B prime, R prime, U, R, U prime, B, U. So once again, it's held from this angle. So R prime, U prime, R prime, B prime, wait, R prime, U prime, R, B prime, R prime, U prime, R prime, U, R, U prime, B, U. I cannot speak notation. The final peanut cases that you can get in solves are these. So these are pure peanut plus Z-perm. I don't have a real good way to solve these, so I actually just do Serra intermediate, and then I know that my U-perm is going to be from this angle, so I can go straight into that. However, a lot of people seem to use the Rubik's Cube algs for those. I never learned or liked those. I never learned them because I didn't like them. I feel like it's just faster to do the 5 sledges. So, yeah, I can't really teach you how to do those, but the way I do it, I just really just do Serra intermediate and then a U-perm. So that's how I do those. So that is Serra Advanced for the peanut set. I know that this can get a bit confusing, and I kind of covered a lot in one video, but feel free to watch it more than once. I definitely know that where I learned it from, I had to watch more than once. It gets very confusing knowing whether you have to start with a sledge or a hedge, and where to rotate to, but really it helps to remember that it's all just reducing to either U-perms or pure pi, or you're just reducing to easier cases. So if you still need help with something, feel free to send me a message, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks!